Yep. Okay. Should be streaming. Should be streaming again, people. Again. Yeah. Having some problems today with the new system, which tested fine before the show. And then when I started streaming, the CPU went through the roof. I'll tell you, it's so typical. Anyway, coming up in 2 or 3 minutes. Unbelievable. These things are sent to try us. A bit like Facebook. Copyright free, Nick Clegg. Crying out loud. Hello? Hello? What's going on there? Is that my CPU? Oh, look at that. Seem to be streaming out. We'll see how it goes tonight, huh, folks? See how it goes tonight. Last night was chaos. Everybody. Oh dear. I think that's the sound file, actually. I think that's the sound file. Yeah. And it's better that it's the sound file than the CPU. One minute, people. 1 minute, folks. I do apologize. What can you do? What can you do? Hey, Robin.
You rang?
That's all right. I'll tell you, that music is dreadful. Let's just get into this. Okay. Hey, folks. Good evening, good people. Finally, take 2. What a week. It's Wednesday, not even halfway. I'm Olly Connelly, thanks for turning up. Oh yeah, welcome to the Daily Brexit, Daily Chaos. Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination and exposing plutocracy. And now, D-Day. On this eve of the 75th anniversary Robin Horsley joins me now to pay tribute to those readying to liberate Europe. I can't even get my words out. Can't get the stream out. Can't get my words out. Please join us with your stories, your laughter, your tears, your thoughts. On what is a special couple of days, huh? And poignance with what's going on. No shouting tonight. Taking your calls and comments across multiple platforms around the internet. Please help the show. PayPal.me/Brexit so I can buy a new processor, I suppose. I don't know. There's always one thing. Please share the thing, like the page, all that. Let folks know we're talking, thinking, watching. We are active. Sorry, I am shouting. No shouting tonight. This is civilized. Very, very quiet show tonight. Hey, Robin. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. I'm actually feeling a bit rough, but there we are. Move on.
You're on the vino. You're on the vino, mate. Oh, lucky. Good on you. That's exactly what I need. Right. Okay. All right. Let's just have a look and see two of the things going on, mainly relevant to the day and one way or another. Mail Online. Fail Online. I hope you come to this country again soon. What the Queen told Donald as he bade a fond farewell to Britain following a moving ceremony to salute heroes of D-Day. As he says, it's been an honour. Donald Trump and his wife Melania, who moved on to Ireland this afternoon, hopefully to bang that Tyseach's head against the wall. A wall that we don't need. The President and the First Lady have gone to Ireland as their 3-day state visit ended in Portsmouth today. The world leaders, royalty and hundreds of veterans gathered to honour those who fought on D-Day 75 years ago tomorrow. Her Majesty used her speech to pay tribute to the resilient wartime generation she called my generation. Trump read excerpts of a prayer read to the nation by Franklin D. Roosevelt on the night of D-Day invasion itself, the wartime president. On June 5th, 1944, U.S. General Dwight D. Eisenhower gave the final order to invade German-occupied France. And following day at dawn, 156,000 men helped turn the war. 300 survivors are taking part in the commemorations, and they'll be moving to France tomorrow. Donald Trump has left Britain at the end of his whirlwind 3-day state visit after the Queen told him, I hope you come to this country again soon. Mr. Trump and his wife, Melania, who moved on to Ireland this afternoon before going to France tomorrow, joined the monarch and Prince Charles to speak to some of and Jeremy Corbyn to speak to some of the 300 Second World War veterans who fought on the Normandy beaches 75 years ago as they posed for the final photograph at the D-Day 75 commemoration event in Portsmouth. The President told the Queen, it was a great honour to be with you, and Her Majesty replied, I hope you come to this country again soon. Mr. Trump was heard saying, great woman, great woman, as he and Melania went to board his Marine One helicopter. They flew to Southampton Airport before being taken to Shannon in Ireland by Air Force Two. The Queen, Mr. Trump and Prince Charles and his leaks had just met with 6 veterans who fought on D-Day. Following the grand commemoration ceremony in Portsmouth today, including one 93-year-old who flirted, according to the Daily Mail, with First Lady Melania. Who can blame him? At a small lunch reception, also attended by world leaders, including Theresa May and Emmanuel Macron, the president told the veterans it was his honour to meet them, and he had been moved by their stories. We're going to have to cut this show a bit short tonight, yeah. So I reckon that's enough of the news section, really. But Robin, quite just before we start talking about what this means, D-Day, and take some comments, see what it means to other people as well, and what have you. It has been a pretty incredible state visit by the president. No?
Yeah, I think so. I think the sort of the Trump complainers, I think it's kind of backfired on them. That's my feeling anyway. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but it just seems incredibly petty that people have been complaining about it. And I think some of those people haven't quite realised that because it's D-Day and it's all about the D-Day commemorations, there's something much, much bigger here than people's personal dislike of a president. This is kind of disrespectful. If you're disrespecting the president's visit, there's a kind of disrespecting, commemorating D-Day.
Hold on, sorry. I'm just embedding you there. Let me just. Oh, blimey! I'm just embedding your Skype, Robin, with this this protocol. Which now I'm waiting for it to. Oh yeah. My processor's being a right pain. Come on. Let me see what I'm doing, please. Let me show me a dialogue so that I can mute Robin's audio on this thing so that he doesn't get feedback, which is very awkward for him. Oh no. Okay. All right. That's not going to work.
Isn't it?
No, it's not going to work.
No, I'm getting the audio back. Getting the audio back again.
Yeah, I know you are. I can't see the dialogue box. It's not showing me a dialogue box to be able to mute you. Or he's got audio going twice. Basically, it's looping. Well, it's not looping, but it's echoing. So, and I can't do anything about it. Okay, right. We're not going to have your video tonight, Robin. And actually, you know what? Oh, yeah. There you go. I've turned it off. It shouldn't be looping now. Right. Okay. So, yes, you're right. The detractors would be completely proven wrong, though. And Corbyn, what a joke. And Khan put in his place now, these people, frankly.
Yeah, I think so. I think they've made a mess of the whole thing, and I think they've showed how trivial they really are. So yeah, no, I'm kind of pleased it's worked out like that, really, because I'm no personal fan of Trump myself, but I think you got to respect the fact that he was elected by the American people. Oh, but he didn't win the popular vote. Who cares? He won the election. He played by the rules and he won.
Yes, I agree. I can embed your I can show you. There we go. There's Mr. H. Right. Okay. And I mean, he got on very well with the Queen by the looks of it. I mean, she was. Well, I mean, you would expect it, but I mean, she was incredibly statesmanlike, and just completely showed up the politicians. I mean, this sort of all the what was it? Emily Thornberry and Diane Abbott and Corbyn all attended that ridiculous rally yesterday with that Trump blimp that somebody burst. Amy burst that. I understand her name is Amy, and well done, Amy. The Queen really did show what an amazing statesman she. I mean, I'm a Republican, yeah, but I got to say, it's impossible not to respect this Queen. The way she handled the state banquet and the whole interaction with the president, who her grandson apparently snubbed that banquet. We're going to miss this lady, I think, when she's gone. No, I don't think that the rest of them have got the same class as she.
Well, I think we'll have to see, won't we? But I think, we're in this strange situation with the royalty where we've got, unless somebody dies early from an accident, we're always going to have very old people being the monarch. And I don't think that's a sensible idea. I think they should retire at a certain age and hand over to the next generation. Because otherwise the choice is that we're always going to have people, in their 70s or 80s becoming the monarch.
Yes.
and that seems absurd to me.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take comments in about 20 minutes time, because Robin's going to have to go, and so I'm going to take comments then, folks, just to get your thoughts. But I want to play something that Robin put together, which is can you explain what this video is, please, Robin, before I play it?
Okay, D-Day. You can imagine 75 years ago, D-Day was planned either for the 5th or the 6th of June, and everybody was ready to go on the 5th, and the weather closed in, or there was bad weather actually for the previous week, and they found a little break in the weather, and decided to go on the morning of Tuesday the 6th of June. But that was the culmination. That was the of many years of work that took place in France. We were sending agents. Our government was sending agents into France to foment resistance. And the point of fomenting resistance was really twofold. One was so that France could emerge as an independent nation once again after the Second World War. But there was also a very practical thing that, and Churchill was particularly concerned about this, the potential impact of D-Day and the numbers of people that could die, and so he was very keen on getting the French resistance to help as much as possible to frustrate the efforts of the Nazis to get to the beaches. They knew we were coming, they just didn't know where and when. And so every year I go to France to visit a memorial and a commemoration which takes place every year on May the 6th to commemorate some very brave people who were agents that were sent into France. But the video explains really what it's about, so you'll see that when you're ready to play it.
All right, here we go. Let's have a look at this.
They shall not grow old as youths who are left to grow. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
In 1940, with Europe in the grip of war and the German army sweeping into France, Winston Churchill ordered the formation of an organisation dedicated to resisting and sabotaging the efforts of the invader. Special Operations Executive was that organisation, variously known as Churchill's Secret Army, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and simply as SOE. SOE's F and RF sections recruited and trained agents to go to France. By the end of the war, over 400 agents, 39 of whom were women, had parachuted or been secretly delivered into occupied France by small Lysander aircraft. The first of these was Georges Beg. On the night of 5th of May 1941, Beg departed from England and was dropped blind near the small town of Valençay in the Loire Valley in the early hours of May the 6th to complete this first dangerous and uncertain mission. In 1991, this memorial was erected at Valençay, at one of the town's main intersections, to commemorate the heroism and sacrifice of over 100 agents who never returned. Every year on May the 6th at 11 a.m, the last surviving agents and associates, family and friends return to Valençay for a memorial service. The names of each of the agents who were killed, many following horrifying beatings and torture, are read out. The Mayor of Valençay makes a brief speech. The local choir sing the French and British national anthems, and speeches are heard. Afterwards, a reception is held for attendees, and an optional lunch is held at a local hotel. As the years go by, and the number of surviving agents diminishes, they're replaced by swelling numbers of people who themselves may have no direct connection to those who serve with SOE, but who come to pay tribute to those that did, and to hear and to share inspiring stories of great daring, personal heroism, and tragedy. To remember how, in France's darkest hour, the two great nations of Britain and France fought together to undermine the efforts of the invader, weaken his overwhelming military machine, and to restore pride and nationhood to France.
Communauté de brigades de gendarmerie.
France fought together to undermine the efforts of the invader, weaken his overwhelming military machine, and to restore pride and nationhood to France. France fought together to undermine the efforts of the invader, weaken his overwhelming.
I wonder how much we appreciate the sacrifice that was made by that generation, Robin, these days. It seems to me that people just have really forgotten. I mean, my grandfather, years and years and years and years ago, before I was born, said that were there another war of that ilk, he'd be a conscientious objector. Not because... the reason being that he felt when he came back, even then, that people that didn't go and fight didn't appreciate what the men and women, and in that film, for example, many women on the front line went through, and what they gave up, and in many cases the ultimate cost. And I don't know. I just wonder if people have any grasp these days of what I mean. Whether or not my grandfather was talking tongue in cheek is another matter. You know, he might have just been rather angry at the time he said that. But the fact is that it seems to me, when you look at the kind of angry, nasty reception that the President of the United States, our closest ally, the special relationship, which really dates back to this time, shoulder to shoulder on those beaches, for example, 75 years ago tomorrow. When you see that reaction, it just makes you wonder if these people have got a clue what it's all about in terms of our country and our sovereignty.
Well, I think Ollie, there is such a disconnect now. You know, the word nationalism has been given very negative connotations. You know, one of the ironies is that the most nationalist organisation in the kingdom is, of course, the Scottish nationalists in Scotland, who overwhelmingly voted to remain part of the EU. But the EU will tell them, and will tell us all, that nationalism is the root of all evil. It's
the irony is just, I mean, you could cut it with a knife now. I mean,
it's absolutely bizarre that we've got people now who, I mean, a friend of mine said that he was ashamed of our flag. He's ashamed of our nation.
Really?
Because of some sort of idea that he's got attached to, that, you know, because a few hundred years ago the British Empire was pretty brutal in its methods, as were all the European empires, frankly.
Yeah.
And, you know, wouldn't try and make excuses for that, but therefore you should be sort of embarrassed or ashamed of your nation.
That's the sins of the father, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you feel that way, do you feel that you should? Therefore, do you feel prejudiced against German people? Because you're saying, therefore, that if we should feel ashamed, they should. Yeah. Therefore, why do you want to associate with them?
Yeah.
You know, the people that killed 5 million or 5 or 6 million Jews in the concentration camps. I mean, it just makes no sense. The contradictions are ridiculous. The idea that one of the collective forms that we take in terms of our nationhood is somehow inherently evil is absurd beyond belief.
Yes,
absolutely, completely absurd.
Yeah.
We are, people who've accepted being governed at each other's hand for many generations. There's something evil about that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Beverly Taylor King has just put out a post today saying conversely, today I felt ashamed to be British, that today the President of the United States, our greatest ally, was snubbed, ignored and insulted by those who are not worthy of licking his feet. You might not like the man, but you still have to respect his position in the world, and that our sovereign has invited him with a state visit. Your position in this country expects you to honour that. The shame is yours. Completely agree.
I'd go with that. Yeah.
I am having so many technical problems today. It's untrue. I'm really sorry, because I can't quite honour this show in the way that I had intended to. But absolutely nothing has gone right. And even during that, trying to resize the video and what have you. Yes, I agree with you. Actually, you know what? When you were on last week, Robin, after you rang off, and I took a few calls, including one from Wolfcat, who is a German lady who lives in Britain. I don't know if she's listening tonight. She's lovely. And she was talking about the shame that it is to be German, that is instilled in the German people because of the sins of the father, which in many cases were sins that was no more than conditioning. In the same way, frankly, that kids in the UK are conditioned these days to adulate, idolise the European Union. Are they not? I mean, why would you idolise a political project in any way, shape, or form?
No.
It just doesn't.
Exactly. I know what you're talking about. I mean, I have friends from Germany that I've spoken to about this sort of subject in the past, and I think one thing that's some of them have shared with me in the past is that the EU as a project.
Are they not? I mean, why would you idolise a political? Again, that's a processing issue. I can't stop things happening before I have to wait. Yeah, carry on, please. Carry on, Robin. Yeah.
I was just going to say that what I've heard from friends from Germany, that part of the appeal of the EU is because it's this whole kind of anti-nationalist sort of stance, this kind of anti-nationhood stance, is a sort of way in which to kind of expunge a sort of sense of guilt, and I think it's
but
absurd.
It's actually swapping that. It's swapping that for imperialism, isn't it?
We're all vulnerable to it. We all in peace times we think that killing another human being is a terrible thing to do. Yet when we go to war, it doesn't take very long before we put that to one side and go off and fight for our country. That doesn't mean that the country's evil. It means that there are people who can come to power who can behave in totalitarian or authoritarian ways, who will make us do evil things. It's not the nation that's the problem, it's the people, it's the ideology. And I think again we're faced with an ideology which is downright dangerous. Just changing the subject slightly, I don't know if you covered it yesterday, but did you see what the Brexit Party were up to up in Scunthorpe with their event that they did with British Steel?
No, go on.
Well, I mean, I watched it this morning, but I think it was yesterday, and they did an event up in Scunthorpe, which is where British Steel are based up in the Humber, and it was excellent. They went there, they got some experts in a panel, and they talked through the issue and what should be done about it, in order to stop us losing that strategic industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, but I'd urge anybody to go onto the Brexit Party's Facebook page or whatever, or the website, and watch that, because I think that's exactly the sort of approach we need to have. Let's just today is a real, today and tomorrow being actually 75 years from D-Day, is a real reminder that nationhood, independent sovereign democracy, is something that people were prepared to fight for and die for in the past, and to knock it, to pretend that it is something evil in itself, is perverse.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Actually, with regards British Steel, I know we did cover that last week, but again, I mean, it's a poignant day to make this mention. Had we not had a heavy industry on the approach to World War II, we would have surrendered. I mean, there's no way we could have knocked out all those Spitfires and all the rest of it. I mean, we would have fallen at the first hurdle before anything. Halifax would have probably been Prime Minister, who was essentially a fascist, and we would have just rolled over and said, "It's all right, Adolf. We'll just, whatever you want." And we would now live amidst a sea of swastikas, probably, as opposed to the EU flags that they want to impose on us.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys speaking at the British Steel event that the Brexit Party did, his job is he ran as an MEP and got elected for the Brexit Party as an MEP. His job that he gave up was helping companies deal with EU compliance, and he was saying it's an absolute nightmare. He said basically the EU has decimated, through its policies, has decimated UK industry. And if you look at taxation revenue, a lot of our revenue comes from financial services, so the City of London. And he was saying that there is an active process which is unfolding with EU regulation, which is designed to destroy the City of London. So the sooner we get out, the sooner we stop being narrowed down day by day, month by month by the EU. It's another point that somebody made, that I think it was John Longworth, who's the guy who was the British Chambers of Commerce, head of British Chambers of Commerce, said was, and if you look back and read the history about the EU, it was really set up as a Franco-German construct. And the whole sort of notion of sort of peace in Europe, it didn't really mean peace in Europe. But what they really meant was trying to resolve a conflict between Germany and France as the two major continental powers. Yeah. And that was the whole kind of purpose of the project. And therefore, the economic benefits, the structure, the way in which the thing was designed for their benefit. We joined late, by which time the die had been cast, and it was far too late for us to really carve out a good deal for ourselves. And that's why, really, for going back through the sort of history since 1973 when we joined the EEC and up until now, that's why it's never worked for us. It really hasn't worked for us economically. The whole sort of peace idea was, there was no benefit for the UK's point of view at all in that. The sooner we're out, the better.
Robin, I know you've got to go, but I've got one last question for you, which again is, I guess, pretty topical today, tomorrow. There's this argument that is thrown out whenever they can, saying that the EU is a way to maintain peace in Europe. What's your view on that?
Well, I think, as I say, the only validity for that is a sort of an idea that it was trying to prevent conflict between France and Germany. But really, if we look at peace in Europe, due to the classic thing is they say, 75 years of peace due to the existence of the European Union. Well, the European Union has actually only existed since 1993, so that's 26 years. The reality was that Germany was sawn in two at the end of the Second World War, and NATO troops were installed, British, French, American troops were installed in Germany to prevent war breaking out again.
And they haven't been allowed.
Nuclear weapons came about at the end of the Second World War, and therefore the threat of mutually assured destruction ensured that peace with major powers was kept. And the reality is, on the single occasion when the EU, or what became the EU, was tested, was in the early 90s in the Balkans. And there was a whole series of wars, if you remember, in the Balkans on Europe's doorstep.
Yep.
And the United Nations and NATO stayed out of the whole thing to start off with. And the reason they stayed out was because the European Union said they would go in and mediate. And basically what was going on was lots of ethnic nations, people who had been pulled together as one nation called Yugoslavia at the end of the Second World War, still had a sense of national identity. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and therefore the overarching power of the Russian government was loosened on them, they wanted to reassert their right for independence. They wanted self-determination. Now, this created huge potential for conflict. But the EU stuck their hand up and said, no, this is our patch, we'll deal with it. Went off to Belgrade to supposedly deal with it. And the reality was that they didn't deal with it at all. They simply supported the Yugoslav government, which was trying to, by suppression, hold the whole thing together. And as a result, the whole thing exploded. And somewhere between 130 and 140,000 people died in that series of conflicts in the early 90s. Now, to put those numbers in context, there's about 140,000 UK soldiers, sailors and airmen died in the entire Second World War. So it's roughly equivalent number to that. And that happened on Europe's doorstep when Europe intervened, when the EU intervened. And what did they achieve? Nothing. In fact, they inflamed the conflict. And there was ethnic cleansing. There were memories of Germany in the Second World War, with ethnic cleansing occurring. It was a horrific outcome. And I think the idea that the European Union has contributed to peace is absurd and is frankly, an insult to all those people who died.
Robin Horsley, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm off the fence on that one, as you may have gathered.
It's always good to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed for popping in. Have a lovely evening.
Good stuff. Thanks, Olly.
Have a lovely bottle of wine or a couple of glasses. God bless you, sir.
Cheers.
Cheerio.
Cheers. Bye now.
Aye. Well, Robin Horsley. So I'm going to take a few comments, folks, and wrap up in about 10 minutes, actually, because I'm really sorry that things cocked up today. I don't understand why, to be honest with you, because it was all testing fine before, but real problems with the processor. Anyway, Sarah Boland says, my uncle fought, just a sec, my uncle fought the Japanese in the Far East. He scarcely ever spoke about it, but I know he had to kill a good friend whom the Japs had disemboweled and left still alive. There was nothing else he could say, as they were stuck in the jungle miles away from any other help. Kasimak says, look at May, so uncomfortable when Trump made his speech yesterday. Spoke reams. It was incredible, wasn't it? Absolutely unbelievable. I don't know if anybody heard that video. I did put it on my timeline. I can't remember. It might have been I can't remember. It might have been you, Yvonne Tierney. That sent it to me. I can't remember. Somebody did. This non-verbal communication, what's it called? Body language expert did this incredible video on the body language yesterday. And just showing up Theresa May basically as being a complete, fake, fraud, failure, all the rest of it. It was quite something. But anyway, that's on my timeline if you want to look at that. Yvonne Tierney says, when you think of the despots that have been invited here, Trump is a breath of fresh air. And the despots that have ruled our country over the generations. I mean, we were lucky with Churchill. Yeah, I mean, it could have been Halifax, they were all. Even if you look at the mainstream media, for example, the Daily Mail in the run-up to the war, they were still calling Hitler a gentleman in the middle of 1939, just before the war. They were still calling him a gentleman in the Daily Mail. That's the kind of atmosphere that it was with the elite, and it actually does remind me. I get the idea that that's not dissimilar to how they are about the EU. Frankly, I mean, I'm not saying that the EU is yet exposed as being the same as a kind of a Nazi regime, but we know that they want their military, armed forces, tradition, and all that, and those of the entirety of European nations, and the nuclear capacity of the UK and of France, the two nuclear nations in Europe. They want all that, and we also know that these would be controlled by people who are elected by cronies. They're unelected, effectively unelected. Kim Gilson says, I shed a few tears watching the D-Day ceremony, as I think all those lives lost and what is happening now. It's heartbreaking. We have to stand up to this and stop it. Yeah, Kim, absolutely. Kazi Max says, I'm blessed, though, through my job. I'm blessed through my job that I have, for many years, got to talk and take an interest in this. Kazi, you should expand on that. I'll be interested to hear. And Mace Peg says, everything is signed. Even if we do get out of the EU, all will be over in the EU, including all the engineering jobs attached to the forces. It's May's special, deep, meaningful relationship she always spoke about. And we do. We got to rebuild. We got to rebuild, and we got to rebuild a hell of a lot. That's for sure. Yvonne Tierney says to Kazi, exactly. That's why it was horrendous what the left did today in Portsmouth. I can't tell you how angry I am. And they were protesting, weren't they? They were protesting at the D-Day commemoration. I just find it incredible, unbelievable. There was again, something I posted on my timeline today. There was, I don't know whether he was a veteran or not, but he was an old boy. He was in his 70s, something like that. And he was pushed over because he was basically in London supporting Trump. And these leftists, these I don't know, whatever they are, anti-democrats, people that don't like, when people elect somebody that they don't like. Were we like that when Obama got elected? Obama went and slayed Libya, and it didn't exactly help with what happened with Syria, by the way, either. Clinton wanted to impose a no-fly zone. Now, I'm not going to shout. No shouting today. These people are filth. They are filth. They hang out with George Bush, who gave us Iraq, along with Tony Blair, another leftist. Yeah. I'm not saying that they're all absolutely fantastic on the right. I think these labels have become very superficial. They're either good people or very, very bad people. But the fact is that if you are against democracy, someone like Trump, he has not been wading into nation states trying to wage war. Even his stance with Iran is not his stance, actually, is it? I don't think so. I think it's the stance of his Secretary of State, no? As I understand it, that it is something that he's been trying to pull away from. He has reached out to North Korea, a nuclear threat. I would have thought, these people that reckon they are, good people or something. These are liberals with capital L's or whatever. They are morons. I'm sorry, they're morons. Kim Gilson, and still so many people haven't got a bloody clue what's going on. I've shared so much stuff about EU, military, unification, PESCO, and got nothing back. A lot of people think it's fake news. The majority of the population won't believe this until it's right in front of them. But by then it will be too late. And yeah, that's right. And these folks, to be honest with you, they remind me, I know this sounds awful, but they remind me a little bit of the Hitler Youth. Political correctness was developed in a university in the United States, and then it was perfected by Goebbels. That's where political correctness, and then Tony Blair took it up, didn't he? Big time, big time. Your comments are going off the screen and I can't see them. I must be quicker. Ed Stanton says, that's the kind of, that's that problem and that common purpose of these the Antifa, the anti-fascists. They're more fascist than anybody they're calling fascist, for sure. It's just incredible, the double standard. It's just Orwellian. It's like, war is peace, and what is it? All the words are reversed. It's exactly what's going on. That is exactly what's going on. Ed Stanton, my relatives are made up of English, Irish, German, and Italian. It's not the people that's the problem. It's a few thousand political idealists that have been allowed to undermine the general populations of 28 individual nations and maybe more. Yes. I don't know if they are idealists, though. I don't know if they're ideologues, Ed. I think they're just bloody greedy. I think they're just fascists. They're just good old-fashioned, on the take, gravy trainers. I don't know whether they're committed enough to have... I remember when Tony Blair was asked about what is your ideology? Because we were used to having leaders with ideologies, weren't we? I mean, the last one probably was Thatcher, pretty much. Kitchen economics, mind you, she kind of gave that up, as it turned out. But Blair said, I don't really have an ideology. I don't really have one. It's called the third way. The third way. He should. Sorry, I'm not going to shout today. He should have joined the Liberal Democrats. That was the third way. Amanda Momtazi says this might have something to do with the young people's attitude towards the EU, and she's got a link there. I'm not going to go to that link now, Amanda, but thank you. Kim Gilson, Yvonne Tierney, it's beyond frustrating. I'm not going to stop doing stuff and going to marches. At least then I can say I tried to do something. Yes, that's right. Yes, absolutely. The EU is continually poking Russia, says Stephen C. Palfrey. That's right. And Kazimak says, thanks, Ollie, for always running your shows. Hey, yeah, well, I mean, I agree. Yeah, we've got to just do what we can, and don't keep apologizing, Ollie. We're used to it, says Yvonne Tierney, about chaos. Yeah. It's just so frustrating. It is really, really frustrating. Thank you to everybody that donated the other day for Restream, which I think is. Hold on, I'll have a quick look. I think is going out all right with all the channels today. I think. So that's good. That's cool. Yeah, but the software that I was hoping to do a kind of the next stage, but that isn't working yet. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, I am fed up from the point of view of this show. I am fed up of having to think about the tech as much as I do. I quite like the chaos, to be honest with you. Tonight it was too much chaos. That was too much chaos. A bit of chaos is great. Organized chaos. When that's perfect. When it is just completely off the chart like it was earlier, it's just a pain in the neck. It really is. And it takes up so much time. I've been building this system that I try to use for the first time this evening. I've been building that system for about 3 weeks now, one way and another. Stripping down an operating system, getting all the bloatware off it, and really, really lean, and just having nothing on this machine apart from what absolutely I need for the show, and all that sort of stuff, and looking at each of the individual processes on the machine, everything, and then for some reason I've got to work out. So, but I'm fed up of that. I have to say, I'm fed up because all I want to do really is to be able to have a conversation with Robin, for example, or whoever, and think about what he's saying, as opposed to he's saying something, and to be honest with you, I'm only half listening because I'm having to do something else, and that is not the way to do journalism. So yeah, frustrating. Anyway, there you go. Yvonne Tierney says, we don't want you getting stressed. No, Yvonne, we don't want anybody getting stressed. Stress is a killer. Kazzy Mac, we have been told lies all our lives, but we have consistently been told evil never wins. I hope so. Yeah, Kazzy, yeah. One lives in hope. Sam Phipps, Ollie, have you considered asking Ian Art Crane onto the show to talk about 5G? No. I've had Mark Steele on to talk about 5G, and he was fantastic. He was very, very scary as well. He scared me half to death, which is one of the reasons I haven't had him back on, because I wasn't sure what's been going on coming up to those EU elections. That was the priority, really. But now that's out of the way. There's kind of a bit of time off, if you like, before we have the lead up to the next general election, or until we have the lead up until Halloween. And so I do want to do more shows like that. So I'd love to get Ian on, yeah, and Mark Steele on again as well. Maybe I could get them on together. That'd be wicked. I don't know, but okay. I'm going to pop over to YouTube and see what the folks are saying over there before wicked. I don't know, before I cut off. But okay, I'm going to pop over to YouTube. See, this is a good example. See what the folks are saying over there. That's a good example, yeah. So I go over a different tab and the audio is on, which often happens when people call in and stuff. But that's fair enough because they're not used to it. But I can't help it either. It's very, very difficult to sort all those things out and to be able to concentrate on the show, and you're trying to listen to. So anyway, I do find that frustrating. I have to say, I do find that frustrating because I just want to concentrate on the content, really. But yeah, a bit of chaos, organized chaos is definitely cool. I do enjoy that, and it's quite funny. Darley Gardner says, the keyboard for this chat is tiny. My thumb's too big. Yeah, I completely get that, Darley. This trying to type on that damn thing, this tracking device, which is beginning to pack up actually now for some reason. I don't know. Bloody obsolescence, yeah. Nigel Brown, good evening, pilgrims, peasants and dragons. Not sure about the flat earthers though. Nigel Brown, I haven't seen you around for too long. It's not good enough. Good to see you, sir. I love your introduction, always. Good evening, pilgrims, peasants and dragons. Not sure about the flat earthers though. And the reason he says that is because I had a flat earther on the show about a year and a half ago or something, and he's never forgiven me. Nigel, you've never forgiven me. I didn't know he was a flat earther until about an hour into the conversation. And it turned out the guy was a complete... I'm sorry, but that's just a ridiculous theory. Anyway, Lorraine Ward, I have the same problem on my phone, lots of laughs. And Paul Reesham, hello Paul, good evening, sir, says, so it would appear, if you was to share a quote from President Trump concerning a certain London mayor, it will gain you a 30-day ban. My first ever in 8 years. Lots of laughs. Wow, man. Whoa. What was that? What did he call him? What did he call it? That is just mad, isn't it? I've called him Dickhead Khan and Sad Khan and Can't. And how you spell that is up to you. Yeah, I mean, just disgusting. Just absolutely disgusting, the behaviour from Sadiq Khan. So opportunist, yeah. Just it pits people like him and Burko. Well, you remember what he said? The last time Trump came, he's piped down this time. But the last time he was like, oh no. And he refused to let him speak in the Commons, didn't he? The leader of our greatest ally, whose boys stood shoulder to shoulder with ours and died on those beaches. I just find it absolutely unforgivable that the kind of treatment he's got from some of these people. Greg DeBaker says, wish someone would liberate the trapped nerve in my back. Oh, no. Naomi says, it's all right to be patriotic, according to President Trump. What it is. I mean, it's only an extension of family. Nationalism is only an extension of family when you think about it. It's just, you've got your wider, you've got your family, then you've got your cousins, and you've got your communities. It's just a wider thing. And then hopefully you care about Europe as a continent as well. Europe, not EU-rope, Europe. The cultures as opposed to the political... Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to shout. Gerald... and then the planet, the rock. Yeah, we hold it in trust. Gerald Collins' new processor Probably new motherboard. Oh no, I'll tell you. Is it? I've got a decent rig here. I built this rig myself. It's quite old now, but it's I do maintain it, and I've got an i7. Yeah, it's an i7 2700K. If that means anything to anybody, I could what's it called? I could, because it's one of that. I could kind of play with that and get more out of that chip. But I don't think I should do that because then I'll probably burn it out. But anyway, I don't know. And the motherboard is a superb motherboard. Even though it's a few years old now, it shouldn't be giving me that kind of grief. I don't understand why it is. Anyway, Mary E. Greg, get yourself to a chiropractor. Miraculous. Peter isn't here. Says, looks like conspiracy channels to get attacked next. That's right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to head off now. But I do want to look at that because that is where things are going. And Drudge Report. Let me pull this up, folks, so you can see what I can see. You see, this is it. You see, this just bores me senseless. Having to fiddle around with all this crappy bloody freeware software that is only semi-good, as opposed to being able to just press a nice big button on a shiny piece of usable software or something, which is the reason for the new system, because I was playing with some software that really is very, very good, but it didn't work. But anyway, right, yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is the story that you're referring to. YouTube, and oh god, yeah, before you continue, these damn notices, because the EU, you can't even see some of the web pages in the States now, can you? Unless you go through a VPN. YouTube. Because a good old EU making a right, and all the cookie warnings. I clear my cookie every time the browser closes. It clears all the cookies, everything, for privacy reasons. I would recommend everybody does that. But then, I've got loads of tabs open. But when you open the browser and you got all the tabs and what have you, it's like, oh, do you accept the cookies? Yes, what do you think of? How many times do you have to tell me? Every website on the planet has cookies. Why do they have to point it at? So I'm not going to shout. I'm not going to shout today. This is a time for reflection. But I will point this out, because this is not the sort of thing that our boys fought for, yeah. YouTube to ban hateful, supremacist videos. This is Yahoo News, yeah. YouTube announced Wednesday it would ban videos promoting or glorifying racism and discrimination, as well as those denying well-documented violent events like the Holocaust or the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. Well, I think they already have done that, actually, pretty much, haven't they? They have banned all that lot. I expected this story to go a little bit further, but hold on, let's hear it through. The announcement by the Google-owned video sharing platform, and Google, of course, they like doing stuff with China, don't they? Yeah, it's just they've got concentration camps there, Google. Yeah, so maybe you should ban China. They have constant education camps, they call them. Yeah, remember those from World War II? Yeah, they've got them in China. So maybe you should ban China. Yeah. But you're doing business with them, aren't you? Because you're hypocrites. You're hypocrites. Do no evil. Wasn't that their slogan? They are evil. So I'm not going to shout today. YouTube has always had rules of the road, including a long-standing policy against hate speech. Yeah. They just work with people who, just this week, one of their government ministers in China said that what happened in Tiananmen Square in terms of the tanks and all that was absolutely fine. No problem at all. No shame whatsoever. Now, what is it? 30 years after the event? 25 years? I can't remember. Long time ago. You remember the guy with the carrier bag in front of the tank? That's all fine, according to this Chinese government. It's all fine. Well, these... and Google is just... Yeah, they're fine with that. Today, Google says, we're taking another step in our hate speech policy by specifically prohibiting videos alleging that a group is superior in order to justify discrimination, segregation, or exclusion based on qualities like age, gender, race, caste, religion, sexual orientation, or veteran status. That does go a lot further than Yahoo were talking about in that top paragraph. Yeah, that goes a lot further. Let's just hear that again. Today, we're taking another step in our hate speech policy by specifically prohibiting videos alleging that a group is superior to another in order to justify discrimination, segregation, or exclusion based on qualities like age. Well, you better tell that to the BBC, because they're the ones that don't want older people in the UK to get the vote anymore. So maybe we should ban the BBC. Maybe we should ban the BBC from Google, from YouTube, or whatever it is. Gender. Well, I don't know about. It's very confusing about gender. I'm really, I don't know what's going on there. Race. Well, yeah, I don't know what that is either. I mean, it's just a human race, isn't there? And then there's some nutters in it, and some people are more sensible or something. Caste. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. I think it's some sort of class thing in India or something. Religion. Well, you know what? I mean, why should I respect people that have, tooth fairy fanatics? Why? Google. Why should I respect people that are tooth fairy fanatics? Now, I am a tooth fairy fanatic, yeah? Because I've got faith. So that makes me a tooth fairy fanatic as well. Am I not allowed to satirize that and self-deprecate? Yeah? I mean, it's just an excuse. It's an excuse. They just want to ban people that they don't agree with their globalist fascism, frankly. That's what it boils down to. Sexual orientation or veteran status. The move comes after a call by world leaders in Paris last month. I bet, of course it was Paris, yeah. To curb extremism online. Following revelations about the live streaming of a mosque massacre in New Zealand. We will begin enforcing this updated policy today. However, it will take time for us to, where does all this go? That's the question. YouTube and other platforms have also been seen as havens for conspiracy theorists denying the Holocaust or the September 11 attacks, and for Nazi and white supremacist groups. I tell you, they've also been taking down a shed load of videos of people who quite correctly have been calling out, for example, September the 11th. And in terms of the Holocaust, whatever did happen there, we do know that it is used constantly as a political tool. Anti-Semitism is used as a political tool all the time. Are we not allowed to talk about that? Are we not allowed to talk about the fact that that is being used against Jeremy Corbyn because he is anti-EU, Eurosceptic? Are we not allowed to point out that it is used as a way to help Israel land grab? Are we not allowed to say that? Or are we not allowed to debate that? I know there are people who would disagree with me. Come on and debate it. I'll be interested to hear more about it. And by the way, I kind of have I do have interests in this subject. Put it that way. Maybe I'll talk about that another time a bit more, but this isn't the occasion. We have long-standing advertise. You know what? Anyway, there you go. Censorship. Thousands to be removed, according to The Verge. Let's just have another look on this, because this is so important. They died for our freedoms. They fought for our freedoms, to liberated Europe for the freedoms of just regular people, good people. 75 years ago, they went in to start the operation of that liberation of mainland Europe. And I don't think that they would have approved of this personally. YouTube just banned supremacist content, and thousands of channels are about to be removed. I'll be fascinated to see if Daily Brexit is amongst those. YouTube is trying to reduce the prevalence of extremist content on the platform. Well, I don't trust these people that define these words. YouTube is changing its community guidelines to ban videos promoting the superiority of any group as a justification for discrimination against others based on their age, gender. Okay, they read the same press release. The open... okay, all right. You know what? Good evening, folks. Have a lovely night. And the machine now... Yeah, good. Finally! 10 seconds! 5 seconds it took to do that. This has been the Daily Brexit. We kind of got there. And yeah, I gotta go now. Yeah, I'm an hour ahead. Yeah, it's 9:30 where I am. 8:30 in the UK. Dinner time. Yeah, beer o'clock. I didn't shout, did I? I nearly shouted. I very nearly shouted. I think I was quite good. It was quite impressive. Tomorrow, hold on. Tomorrow is more D-Day commemorations with Dan McDevitt, bless him, who was in here last week, a couple of weeks ago. He's back tomorrow. Soldier F, Soldier A to Z, as he correctly pointed out to me. So very fitting that he's here tomorrow, and he's going to be talking about events going on this weekend in protest at this horrid government of ours and successive governments since Blair that have basically just been sticking two fingers up at these folks that put their lives on the line for us, and the armed forces, our boys. So he's back to tell us what events are going on this weekend, and doubtless to reflect on D-Day a lot more, with more of your comments, please, and hopefully some calls. And I'll try to be organised tomorrow. So that's tomorrow at 7 BST. And then tomorrow night, there's another show, which is a new thing that started last week, but it's live tomorrow as well, like all the other shows on Daily Brexit. And that is Question Time Analysis. Yes. Yeah. That's another show that I won't be shouting on much. I'm going to be pretty, but I normally shout. Gotta have a shout. I'm not going to stop shouting. But just not on the Question Time Analysis, because, that's it. Yeah. Because it's late at night, and the missus will click me around the ear if I shout. But anyway, there you go. All right, so that's tomorrow live for Question Time, and Dan is here at 7. So I'll see you then. God bless you. Here's to us, and bugger plutocracy.